Before fitting the new inner seal, wind back the threaded tube using the adjuster. The threaded tube must be wound back completely. The outboard brake pad is removed and the caliper pushed inwards. Screw together the strut T3 and assembly tool T9 from the toolkit. Before pressing in the inner seal, ensure that the threaded tube and sealing face are clean. The inner seal is pressed in as shown. The assembly tool is positioned over the threaded tube, and then the strut is screwed out to press in the inner seal. After fitting the inner seal, the assembly tool is removed and the threaded tube is screwed out using the adjuster. Look to make sure that the inner seal does not turn when the threaded tube rotates. After fitting the inner seal, the threaded tube must be greased with the special grease from the service kit. As before, take care not to screw out the threaded tubes too far. To fit the new tappet, the threaded tube must be wound back completely again. A new tappet bush should be fitted to the spigot of the threaded tube. The tappet with boot is pressed into position using a combination of tools T1, T2, and strut T3. The same tool combination is used to press the tappet onto the tappet bush by turning it through 180 degrees. Remove the tool and check that the tappet rotates freely on the bush. Before fitting the brake pads, look to ensure that the threaded tubes are wound back completely. Clean the brake pad abutments. We remind you that you should only fit brake pads that are genuine parts, expressly approved by Knorr-Bremse, the axle manufacturer or the vehicle manufacturer. After fitting the brake pads, rotate the adjuster shear adapter clockwise to screw out the tappets until there is no clearance between the pads and the disc. Then wind back the adjuster 2 or 3 clicks to set the correct clearance. It should be between 1 and 1.5 millimeters. The final running clearance will be set automatically by the adjuster. If the clearance is too small, this can lead to hot running and considerable consequential damage. Fit the pad retainer into the groove in the caliper and then press down by hand to fit the pad retainer pin as shown. Fit the washer and spring clip. Don't forget to fit the adjuster cap. If the vehicle is equipped with in-pad wear sensors like these, then install as follows. The wear sensors are pressed into the pads until they lock in position. Note that the longer wear sensor cable is for the outer brake pad. Fit the pad holder springs onto the pads. Fit the brake pads into the pad abutments. Install the pad retainer pin, washer, and spring clip. Fit the cable guide onto the pad retainer, pressing it lightly until it snaps into position. The longer cable for the outer pad is pressed into the locating tabs of the cable guide. The shorter cable is not secured. Fit the cable protection plate, ensuring that the cables are in the correct position, and clip it in place. When fitting the protection plate, care must be taken to ensure that there is no pinching or stripping of the cables. Depending on the vehicle, this could cause a short circuit of the vehicle's power supply. Set the pad clearance and fit the adjuster cap. To replace the guide pins, the caliper must be removed from the brake carrier. Firstly, remove the brake actuator. When removing with carrier, the instructions of the axle or vehicle manufacturer must be followed. With some axle types, the caliper can be removed from the axle by undoing the tangential bolts. Removing the caliper from the carrier is the same in principle, irrespective of whether it is fitted to the vehicle or not. Take care when removing the caliper with the carrier attached. The weight is 40 to 50 kilos. The caliper is removed from the carrier as follows. Pierce the middle of the guide pin cap with a small chisel, then lever it out with a screwdriver. Note that the cap may move inwards some millimeters when pierced. Do not insert the chisel between the cap and the caliper bore, as the surface will become damaged. The caliper mounting bolt is removed with a 14mm hexagon key. Care must be taken to ensure that the caliper cannot fall. With the flexible caliper support, there are open and closed versions. With the closed version, the metal cap must be removed by twisting with pliers. When both bolts are removed, the carrier can then be separated. Now the guide pins can be removed from the caliper. The tappet and boot assemblies and the inner seal can be replaced with the caliper removed from the vehicle in the same way as with the caliper installed on the vehicle. However, in this case, the assembly tool is extended using strut T4. Note again that the threaded tubes should not be screwed out too far. For safety, a spacer of 70mm length should be fitted into the caliper.